50% tariff on Indian goods entering the US. Is it the end of the road, or could this be the start of a new export growth story? What if I told you that this tariff could be the catalyst that forces Indian exporters to stop playing the low price game and start owning the premium global markets? That's exactly what we are unpacking today. Your step-by-step game plan to thrive despite the tariff walls. Welcome to India Grow Global mini-series, The Export Champions, where we answer questions from exporters, help the exporter community to discover how businesses can build global power brands, not just survive, but lead like a true blue market leader. I'm your host Amit Chandra, and I have spent over 30 years designing branding and marketing strategies for the top blue chip multinationals across 15 sectors. You may like to read more about myself and about India Grow Global in the description below. Welcome to the show. In the next 10 minutes, you will discover how to build a power brand that wins even with higher prices. A global branding strategy that sets you apart in crowded markets. How to diversify into new and fast-growing regions beyond the US. Tactical marketing and localization moves to outsmart competitors. Real Indian and global case studies, both success and failures, so you know exactly what to emulate and what to avoid. Let me begin by telling you a story of an Indian exporter. In 2019, a Pune-based engineering exporter lost 60% of his US orders overnight when tariffs kicked in. Well, most businesses would possibly have folded up in that situation, whereas this Pune exporter doubled down on branding, shifted half their focus on Europe and the Middle East, and started selling their products as premium sustainable engineering solutions. Within 2 years, they not only recovered but grew by 35% above the pre-tariff revenues. The moral? Well, it is rather simple. The tariffs can be a death blow, or it can be a wake-up call. Why start with branding when the real issue is tariffs? Because branding decides whether a buyer sees you as just another supplier or as a supplier they must have. Let me tell you about an Indian organic honey producer. He rebranded from Shiv Foods to Golden Himalaya Reserve. They built a luxury brand identity, told stories of mountain beekeepers, and highlighted purity testing. And the result? A 28% hike and new contracts in Japan despite cheaper competitors available in the market. The key principle is a power brand neutralizes price sensitivity. What's the difference between selling abroad and becoming a global brand? Well, selling abroad is transactional, whereas global branding is truly transformational. It builds emotional equity with our customers. The classic case that comes to mind is from our own backyard. It is about Royal Enfield. Royal Enfield sells fewer bikes in Europe than big Japanese brands, but riders pay more because it represents freedom, nostalgia, and design heritage. Here's another case study of a failed global branding. An Indian apparel exporter tried to enter Australia without adapting its branding or the sizing. Sales flopped within 6 months. And the lesson learned is own a unique position in the buyer's mind, or you will be replaced by the next low-cost alternative. If the US is risky, where else should we look for? ASEAN is booming. Vietnam, Indonesia, and Malaysia are seeing strong import growth. The Middle East is building mega projects hungry for both materials and goods. Africa's urban markets are growing fast as well. Indian exports to ASEAN grew by 11% last year, while exports to the Gulf rose by 14%. Meanwhile, the African Continental Free Trade Area is projected to boost intra-Africa imports by up to 30% by 2030. What's the marketing shift exporters must make now? While planning a market shift, there are essentially 3 must-dos. Now, these do's and don'ts apply in every market, but more so when it comes to export markets. First of all, it is imperative to do your market segmentation. It is a waste to target the entire market. Every user is not your potential customer. Based on your pricing and the positioning, segment your market and tap customers who truly are your likely customers. To explain the importance of segmentation, let me take the example of Maruti and Mercedes. Now they both sell cars, right? So is every customer looking to buy a car their customer? Well, the answer is no. The needs and expectations of Maruti and Mercedes customers are very diversely different. While Maruti buyer looks for convenience, Mercedes customer is looking for luxury and status. I hope you see the point what I'm trying to make. You can target niches like Indian diaspora buyers, health conscious consumers, or luxury segments. And this list is rather long. You can identify your niche based on customers' needs beyond product features. That's important. Focus on neuro factors. There are customers who are only looking for the cheapest buys, whereas there are customers who need more value. They look for social purpose or national pride or environmental sensitivity, cultural association, and I can go on and on with this list. Number two, go digital first. If you're a B2B exporter, focus on LinkedIn for leads. For D2C conversions, you got to be present on platforms like, say, Amazon Global, Alibaba, and other niche e-commerce platforms in different sectors. Number three, ask for customers' experience stories and feedback. You can ask your buyers to share their product experience and convert those feedback into customer stories. Aim for stories about sustainability, heritage, craftsmanship, innovation, or whatever that makes sense for your product, as long as it is beyond the product features and quality, because these are standard elements today. Every brand says that they are the best and also the most value for money. Customer stories, if you ask me, are your best testimonials. Let me tell you a client story. A Surat textile maker started sharing consumer experience stories with their customers. Now they pivoted from generic saris to designer Indo-Western fusion wear. And they went viral in Canadian Indian community. And this led to they doubling their orders in under 8 months. Before we continue further, let me remind you, the Export Champions is a 5-episode series. So don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the bell icon to stay informed about the new episodes. And yeah, at Be Ahead, we transform businesses into power brands. So if you are looking to build your brand into a global brand, then do reach out. The contact details are given in the description below. Does localization really boost exports? Well, absolutely. Tailoring the packaging, labeling, and even the product features to local culture builds trust and increases acceptance in the new markets. A Kerala spice exporter rebranded for Gulf supermarkets with Arabic labels and made spice blends customized for regional cooking. And guess what happened? Their sales jumped 50% despite higher logistic costs. Whereas there are numerous cases where businesses fail to localize. An Indian furniture brand shipped to Germany with assembly instructions only given in English. Now they were hit by 25% returns because the customers could not read the English instructions. What about contract manufacturers? How do they survive tariffs? Well, interesting question. And the answer is, instead of being another replaceable vendor, become an indispensable partner. Offer co-branding like Made in India for XYZ brand. Acquire global certifications, ISO, CE, Fairtrade, and so on. You must work towards providing speed, flexibility, and transparency in supply chains. I must tell you about this apparel contract manufacturer. It is an inspiring story of how staying connected and understanding our customers' emotional pain points can give us winning ideas. This Tirupur sportswear maker became the exclusive partner for a European brand by offering a 3-week turnaround instead of the industry standard of 8 weeks. Smart thinking, right? No rocket science. They just restructured their process and extended the time advantage to the customer. And we all know how critical those additional 5 weeks can be to stay ahead in the game. Let me remind you again, the Export Champions is a 5-episode series. So do like, subscribe and hit the bell icon to stay informed about the new episodes. And if you would like us to address any specific business issue, then simply leave your suggestions in the comment box and we will be happy to make a video on that subject. Here are some rapid tips for you. Form export clusters for shared marketing and logistic expenses. Use government trade support aggressively. Bundle products for higher margins. Enter long term supply contracts in non US markets now. In the next episode, we talk about going beyond the US, how Indian exporters can unlock growth in ASEAN, Middle East, and African countries. If you aspire to be a global player, then don't miss it. And before I sign off, let me say this 50% tariff is not the end. It is a test, an opportunity to review, re strategize, and re engage. Exporters who pivot to branding, diversify markets, and localize smartly will come out stronger. And those who don't, well, they may vanish from the global stage. India, grow global. Be seen, be remembered, be ahead.